Today, the Wichita City Council voting to use affordable housing funds to build dozens of affordable rental units on South Broadway.
Brock Wilson shows you where the apartments will be built and what kind of impact city leaders believe it could have on the community. That's new at 5.
Over 3 dozen affordable housing units will be built right here at 5136 South Broadway. Wichita City Councilman Mike Hoheisel says this project will go a long way toward helping the city's affordable housing crisis.
There's a lot of people who are, quite frankly, being priced out of their homes.
Councilman Hoheisel says with property valuations and rent both going up,
lower income people bear the brunt of that. There's a lot of people who are just barely making it as it is now.
So this week, a small solution. It's called Ark River Residences.
Ark River Residences is a proposed 42-unit apartment project designed for families to be located at 5136 South Broadway.
It includes 2 multifamily residential buildings near a church, preschool, restaurants, and other businesses.
This project will provide high-quality, affordable homes in a well-resourced community for underserved families.
Housing and urban development data shows Wichita has over 28,000 households with unmet housing needs. A statistic Councilman Hoheisel says improving is a big part of his mission as a representative of the community.
We want to make sure that there are options out there to help relieve the stress on the system and to make sure that we get people who have those needs into housing that they can afford.
Construction on these apartments is expected to begin later this year. They're slated to open in September of 2027. In Wichita, Brock Wilson, 12 News.